Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. Cases, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hello there, fans, and welcome to another episode of the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. Welcome to another week of the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. My light went out just before we came on here, and now everything's falling because I'm pulling it. Hold on 1 second, if you will. God damn. There we go. Now we have light. It's a little bit off because something just fell, but we now have light. Anyway, it's the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. It comes to you live every weekday, high noon Eastern time, and then available wherever you get your podcasts as well. I am your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke is behind the glass. I'm sorry, Zach. I got to fix this because now it's way off, and now the color looks terrible. And that nice painting fell. Anyway, hope you're enjoying it so far. We're off to a rip-roaring start. Today, we're talking about the Bruins. We're talking about Don Sweeney because I heard some comments over the weekend on why Don Sweeney is... We're wrong about Don Sweeney, apparently. Us Bruins fans who think that this is not a good job that he's doing, we are all wrong because the NHL loves Don Sweeney. We'll talk about why. We'll also talk about this day in Red Sox history, the greatest trade maybe ever that they've pulled off. It looked like a white flag at the time, but it paved the way for a World Series championship. You remember that deal, Gonzalez, Beckett, and Carl Crawford all out the door. We'll tell you how it paved the way for another Red Sox World Series championship. Plus, we'll talk about what happened over the weekend. They lost on Sunday night, but the Red Sox absolutely punked the Yankees. That Yankee team is not going anywhere, and we will tell you why. All that and more coming up on this episode of The Cam Show. But we start where we start, which is in the thumbnail. It's with the Bruins, as we do every weekday, live at noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts. And specifically, it is about Don Sweeney. Okay? One of my favorite things to talk about on this show. The chants at TD Garden were impossible to ignore last year. Fire Sweeney. It was all over the place. And there were so many chances, so many places you could point to in the season last year that you said, you know what, we've had about enough. And I would say most of the fan base has had enough of Don Sweeney. After this disastrous season that saw them not only miss the playoffs, but finish 15th in the Eastern Conference, only in second to last because of goal difference, many Bruins fans wanted Don Sweeney out, and he got an extension. So are we just all wrong about this? Have we all been wrong about Don Sweeney? Well, former Bruins goalie and current Bruins analyst Andrew Raycroft says that us, those who think that Don Sweeney stinks, are exactly that we are wrong.
The exact same thing's going to happen when Don Sweeney gets fired. Whenever that is, if it's 5 years from now, he's going to get a job the next day if he wants it. He's highly, highly regarded in the National League. You don't get Team Canada general manager opportunities for four nations, being on part of the Olympic team in Canada, if you're not really well respected and thought of very highly in the hockey world. It's a massive job, and the fact that he was given that job just proves what he's thought of and how hard he works and what his discipline in the job is.
Are we the dummies? Seriously. Like, are we the ones that are wrong? The hockey world loves Don Sweeney. I just have one question, though. Why? Why do they love Don Sweeney? What has Sweeney done to show he's one of the best executives in the league? Well, I know some of you are screaming right now. Of course, he won the GM of the year in 2019. He oversaw 2 President's Trophy winning teams and a Bruins squad that got to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final during his tenure. It's not a bad resume at all. There's just one problem with it. He didn't build those teams. And you can't have it both ways. He was an assistant GM for some of that team building that went under Peter Chiarelli. And so if you want to say, well, Cam, he's the assistant GM, doesn't he have some say in that? Okay. Then if that's the case, I can't have Cam Neely, the team president, saying, well, the 2015 draft was not Don's fault. He was just hired. No, he was promoted. And so when you take that out of the equation, there's not much Don Sweeney fingerprints over these really good teams. The 2019 Cup Final team barely had semblance of Don Sweeney's drafts. Charlie McAvoy, young, but sure. Brandon Carlo hadn't really come into his own yet. Jake DeBrusk, same thing. They were not core pieces on that team. That team was built around Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, Zdeno Chara, David Krejci, Tuukka Rask, Torrey Krug. Sweeney did not draft or acquire any of those guys. Not one. Every championship team sort of has that. Oh, how much was the old GM? You know, we saw it with the Red Sox in 2004. Well, how many of those guys were Duquette guys? Sure. You know, Manny, Pedro, they were acquired by Dan Duquette. Theo also went out and got David Ortiz. You know, he went out and got Kurt Schilling. There was a lot of big pieces on that team. When you look, if the Bruins had won the Cup in 2019, you couldn't have pointed to a major piece in that team that was Don Sweeney. Oh, he's so respected because he's GM of Team Canada. Because Canada knows this. If you give this guy an incredible collection of talent already at his disposal, if you give him a talent pool that he literally cannot lose with, he will win. If you give him a core of the Boston Bruins that had already been to 2 Stanley Cup finals and had won one for a lot of those guys, and you give him that core and they're still young enough to compete, then he's going to win with them. He's going to take them to the Stanley Cup final. If, God forbid, a GM is forced to run with the guys he actually went out and acquired, he can't do it. That's what the 10 years in Boston has proven to the hockey world. That if you give him immeasurable talent, he can do something with it. The problem is, with the Bruins, he doesn't have the luxury he has with Team Canada. He's got to rebuild a team right now that still has some core guys in their prime years. And he has shown nothing to prove that he can do that. Nothing. Those of us who have been around and watching this for 10 years can parse through every single move and give you example after example after example of Don Sweeney's mistakes. How about we start with this one? I'll go with Don Sweeney's best move with the Bruins. In 2021, he went out and he signed Linus Ullmark from Buffalo for a really nice 4-year, $20 million contract. He had come off a bit of an injury-riddled season. There was questions whether he could be a number 1 goalie. He was a number 1 goalie. And did great work after that, including winning the Vezina Trophy with one of the great goaltending tandem seasons that any team has ever had. Okay? That was a great deal. It was the best in Don Sweeney's tenure. But when you leave Don to his own devices, somehow it led to not 1, but 2 really bad deals. Because of course it did. On the back end of his best free agent signing in 10 years, Sweeney trades Ullmark with 1 year left on the deal. Okay, somewhat understandable. But you're going into his summer where he had to pay one of the goalies. And he traded one before working out a deal with the other. He trades Ullmark to a team within the division that was a goalie away from making the playoffs, and lo and behold, they made the playoffs this year. And he rushed to get the deal done so that he'd get a first-round pick in that year's draft, a first-round pick who scored 0 goals in 36 games. And it completely took away all of your leverage for Jeremy Swayman. All of it. And then Swayman holds out for a lucrative contract that he isn't worth and backed it up by having the worst year of his career. His best move in 10 years turned into 2 of his worst when the Bruins really, really needed some shrewd deals and some shrewd moves from their GM to retool rather than rebuild. That's the guy who is so well respected around the league. Him, the one who, when he gets fired, will get a job the next day to whatever NHL team is enough of a sucker to hire Don Sweeney the day after he's fired from the Bruins, which will probably be 10 years from now. Go with God. You're digging your own grave. Unless you have a team that is already filled with Stanley Cup winning, Stanley Cup contending Hall of Fame talent. Then and only then will you even have a chance to win the cup with Don Sweeney as your GM. Because after saying all that, they didn't win the cup. They lost to an inferior team in the final. And I'm going to be fair here. That's not even all Don Sweeney's fault. At some point it's on the players. But what I'm saying is you need to have a collection of Hall of Fame talent already on your roster to have a chance to win with Don Sweeney. That's the guy so well respected around this league. Which leads me to my other point here. Should we be basing our respect for Don Sweeney off the success that came from Chara, Bergeron, and Marchand? All guys that he did not draft or acquire in any way? Or should we judge him off what the Bruins have done with Charlie McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman, Hampus Lindholm? Maybe that's more apt. Those are all guys he drafted or acquired. And they're all fine players. But the proof is in the pudding, man. They were goal difference away from finishing in last place in the Eastern Conference and should have been picking in the top 5 of the draft if they didn't send that final regular season game into overtime. So look, I love James Higgins, but I swear to God, if Caleb Desnoyers becomes one of the best players in this league and the Bruins missed out on him because they sent the fucking meaningless game into overtime that they didn't even win, that should be another pelt on the wall of the Fire Don Sweeney clubhouse. Oh, he led Canada to the Four Nations title. Congrats. You were able to win with Team Canada. You were able to win with the best Canadian NHL players. Congratulations. A well-trained dog could have done that. So we're basing his success off the success that he had with a team highlighted by Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, just those guys, just those scrubs. That's where he's gotten his only real success. And not for nothing, but you know who else led Canada to a gold? Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky was the GM of Team Canada in 2002, and they won the gold medal. Wayne Gretzky, the great one, as a player, the one who as a coach and executive in this league, in the NHL, did not finish in the top half of the league standings one time, never made the playoffs. That's the kind of guy who has success with Team Canada. Anybody could do it. But that's how respected Don Sweeney is. I just don't know where the respect is coming from. There's no move or no deal or even really a draft pick that Don Sweeney has made that you're like, man, that's worth it right there. Charlie McAvoy, good pick. Do I think he's a little bit underwhelming the last 2 years or so? Yes, but that's still a good pick. Jeremy Swayman could still be a good pick, but not one where you said he laid down a new foundation for his team. Not that. And for every one of Charlie McAvoy and Jeremy Swayman, there's about 4 Jacob Zaborals and Zach Senishins and Jacob Forsbacka Carlsons. And at this point, Fabian Lysels, Johnny Beechers. Those are the guys that we look at in Don Sweeney's tenure with the Bruins. Not Chara, not Marchand, not Bergeron. John Beecher, Matt Poitras, Jake DeBrusk, Jakob Zaboral. These guys are the ones that Don Sweeney should be remembered for. It's just, I was talking with my dad yesterday, who has watched Boston sports for 60 years. And he said to me, he said, I've never seen a GM with such a poor track record last this long in this town. Like ever. It's crazy, man. And again, it's tough to see for the outside fan because the Bruins have been successful. They've been good most of Don Sweeney's tenure, almost all of it, right? So it's tough for another fan base to be like, what is this kid bitching about? But when you look through every move that Don has done and how we set this team up for the future, It's horrid. And maybe what my dad said just highlights that we've been pretty blessed here with some good executives, at least in the last 25 years. You know, we get back to the Sullivans owning the Patriots. Yeah, it's pretty muddy. But Don Sweeney himself has not pulled off like one good move, one great move that we're like, yeah, you wouldn't be here without this guy. He hasn't done that. And yet Andrew Raycroft says, yeah, well, look at how well respected he is. Is that because Andrew Raycroft gets his paycheck signed by Nesson? Yeah, probably. But I do think there are some people around the league that believe that. And I think I just think it's crazy. As someone who has followed every move that they've done the last 10 years and then some, I just don't see where the confidence comes from that Don Sweeney can be a top-tier GM in this league and that Don Sweeney can rebuild this team. Anyone who shares that opinion that he is a great GM, I think is spoken something I'd like to have. I just don't see it. But if I'm wrong, if we are the dummies, please let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. 95% of you guys watching on average aren't subscribed. We're giving you Bruins. We're giving you Boston sports every weekday, live at high noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Am I wrong about Don Sweeney? Let me know in the comments. If you are sick of the Don Sweeney tenure, let me know in the comments and like and subscribe to show me why. We come here every weekday, like I said, nothing but Boston sports, a lot of Bruins, a lot of Red Sox. So check out those videos over the YouTube channel. Of course, find us wherever you get your podcasts as well. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke is behind the glass. He keeps us on the air 5 days a week. Coming up, we will shift our attention to the Red Sox because the Cam Show is not over. And we will take a little trip back in time to what was seen as one of the worst trades in Red Sox history and how it directly led to a World Series title and why we look back on it 13 years later and can only smile. That's coming up next on The Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
InMotion is more than just a name. It's a legacy of innovation. From supplying electric vehicle parts like motors and inverters since the 1960s to creating cutting-edge electric scooters, hoverboards, and unicycles, InMotion is shaping the future of mobility. Whether you're looking for industrial power solutions or accessible personal transport, InMotion has you covered. Explore our products and experience the future of movement. Visit store.inmotionworld.com today.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files, remove malware and viruses, and protect your device. It also optimizes your Mac's hard disk, fixes disk permission issues, and cleans memory, all to boost your Mac's performance to the max. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
Finding a sleep sack that my baby likes has been a struggle.
The sleep sack from Joy is a major upgrade.
It's all natural eucalyptus, which is breathable and hypoallergenic, which is really great for your baby's sensitive skin.
And it's made with Climatac, which regulates your baby's temperature.
You can also get Joy's crib sheets, which are made of the same super soft material.
Joy gave my baby comfort
and gave me peace of mind.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
And now, back to our show.
Back to it. Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam. That's why it's called that. Okay. There's no Cam action like OnlyFans Cam. It's just me, Cam Stewart, Zach Burke behind the glass, keeping us on the air. He's thinking about doing an OnlyFans account strictly for the Cam Show, but we're trying to get him totally on board with that. I think it's going to help. He's got a young young kid at home, I think that could really help the college fund. Couple that with Rogue Media's 401k, and I think we'll be pretty good. But it is on the Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm Kim Stewart, Zach Burke. Like I said, 5 days a week, live at noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. We did Bruins. We did Don Sweeney. I just can't believe there's still people out there trying to tell us how great Don Sweeney is. I'm at a loss. But now we're going to talk some Red Sox. Because, they took the series over the weekend. We'll talk about that in a little bit in the next segment. But I do want to take a trip back in time. On Friday, we did a retrospective from the Bruins in that 2015 NHL draft. It's talked about a lot, but going back and actually looking through it, it gave me even more answers and questions than I had before. It gave me even more of an appreciation for how bad that draft was. I'm going to kind of do the opposite here and take you back to a bad time in Red Sox history that directly led to a good time that I still don't think a lot of people have realized. Okay, let's do it, shall we? Let's take a trip in the somewhat way back machine to when Cam of the Cam Show was just a freshman in high school. Okay, let's do it. On this day, 13 years ago, August 25th, 2012, the Red Sox franchise changed forever. At first, it actually looked like a really low moment because for the first time, a young generation of Red Sox fans, me included, who had only seen success and the very best in team building, organizational structure, they were the model franchise. They finally had to admit defeat. For the first time in my life watching the team, they punted a season. It's just not something we were used to at that point for the Red Sox. They traded Adrian Gonzalez, who had a terrific season the year before. They traded 2007 World Series hero Josh Beckett. Traded Carl Crawford and Nick Punto to the Dodgers for James Loney, a couple of long forgotten pitchers in Alan Webster and Ruby De La Rosa. And what they got in return was the 2013 World Series title. And that's what often gets forgotten about this deal. What seemed like a disaster at the time legitimately paved the way for one of the most memorable teams in Red Sox history and eventually a new wave of Red Sox success. But it was born out of truly one of the worst seasons in team history. After going let me back it up even further. In 2011, the Red Sox entered September with an 83-52 record, the best in the American League. They were running away with it. They would literally have to make history to miss the playoffs. That they did. After going 7-20 in September, they completed one of the greatest collapses in baseball history, which would have been right in line with Red Sox history before 2004. But this is something we needed to get used to again. They were the first team ever to blow a 9-game lead in September alone. 365 days after waltzing into that final month of the regular season with the best record in the league, it felt like rock bottom. A week after this trade, they were beaten 20-2 by the Oakland A's. It was their worst loss in 12 years. 12 years. Think about that. And 3 former Red Sox players were hitting home runs against them in that route. Josh Reddick, George Kataris, and Brandon Moss, for all you Red Sox sickos out there keeping score at home. It was a year from hell, okay, all the way around. 2011, the collapse comes, and it's highlighted by this expose that comes out about their star pitchers, Beckett, Don Lester, John Lackey, eating Popeye's fried chicken and drinking beer while playing video games in the clubhouse while the team was playing. While the team was losing grip on the American League East and their playoff spot, what was going on in the clubhouse was making this team lose a grip on reality. This wasn't the Red Sox. This was a total departure from what we knew. You know, this was the kind of crap you'd hear about the Patriots in the 80s. It's the kind of crap you hear about with the Kansas City Royals or the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. It wasn't the Red Sox, man. chicken and beer in the clubhouse while the team's out there battling. They needed a change. Whether it needed to be this drastic, I don't know. But the greatest manager and general manager in Red Sox history were then canned after the season because it was such a PR nightmare. And all of a sudden, the greatest era that any of us were ever alive to see for the Boston Red Sox was over. It was done. This total renaissance of Red Sox baseball and Red Sox fandom was gone. It's tied up in this expose piece, and Francona's gone. Theo Epstein's gone. The Boston Globe, now run by the Red Sox owners, are planting stories about Terry Francona's drug use so that fans will feel better about firing him. It was messy. It was gross. It was awful. And that mess would continue, by the way, because the Red Sox, I guess, knew this was going to be a clown show in 2012, and so they went with the biggest clown of all to run it, Bobby Valentine. Probably choice number 7 on their short to then medium, possibly long list of managers they wanted to hire. Bobby V came into town, hadn't managed in 10 years, coming out of the TV booth. That's going to be the guy to fix it. Well, it was never good. And you know that by now, so I won't waste your time for the most part. Let's just condense it into the egregious Kevin Youkilis comments. 3 players attending Johnny Pesky's funeral. And, oh yeah, on top of that, being the worst Red Sox team in 20 years. Finishing in last place, winning 69 games. Not nice. They hadn't finished last in their division since the Sons of Butches in 1992. So how could they possibly be world champions the next year, Cam? How can that happen? This trade is what made it happen. August the 25th. Adrian Gonzalez, by the way, was still a good player. Like, he made a legit MVP case the year before. But Carl Crawford was an absolute albatross. And Beckett was hurting the franchise far more than he was helping it at this point. So they were all gone. Shipped off to LA with really not much of anything in return, except for the fact that LA now has to take on $260 million in contracts. The Red Sox wiped their hands, and Boston favorite Magic Johnson does the entire city a favor. But then the Red Sox got to work. And that's why this video is being made here on August the 25th, 2025, 13 years later. Because if it was just a cash dump and nothing else happened, it's a footnote in history. But what did happen afterwards is what makes this end up being one of the great deals in Red Sox history. And it really has nothing to do with the return on the trade. It's a very rare thing to happen. But the next offseason, they spent just shy of $130 million to put together a real team. By using less than half of what they saved in the Dodgers trade, they went out and they acquired David Ross for $6 million, John Lester's personal catcher, and a guy who had some big hits down the stretch for the Red Sox, especially the World Series. Johnny Gomes for $10 million, 2 walk-off home runs during the regular season. That's 2 extra wins. And you'll remember, hit a crucial go-ahead homer in Game 4 of the World Series when the Red Sox were down 2-1. How about Mike Napoli for $13 million? There were still questions on whether he could play, whether he was healthy enough to play. All he did was go second on the team in home runs, RBI, and OPS, only behind David Ortiz for all of those stats. And he won an ALCS game all by himself in Detroit. Game 3, Verlander, 1-0 win. Only run came off a solo homer to straightaway center from, Mike Napoli. Shane Victorino comes in for the same amount. All that guy does is have the game-winning hit, basically, in all 3 series-clinching wins in the playoffs. I'd say that worked out. You also got a bargain on Koji Uehara. who was on the mound when you clinched the World Series and the pennant and the AL Division Series, and had one of the greatest closer seasons in history. It genuinely could have been the MVP of that team for that season. Do I need to go on? That right there, what they acquired with the money saved that they could not have spent if they had held on to those three guys, Crawford and Gonzalez and Beckett, they wouldn't have been able to build that team. No chance. Oh, yeah. And one of the throw-ins in the Dodgers deal, not De La Rosa, not Webster, not James Loney, Ivan DeJesus was flipped that winter for a future All-Star and a 2018 World Champion, Brock Holt, the only player in MLB history to hit for the cycle in a postseason game, and was a kind of a vital piece of your next championship team. I'd say that worked out as well. Call me crazy. I think that worked out. So the Red Sox went from winning 76 games in a 12-month span to being the best team in the major leagues 13 months after that. That's nuts, man. That's crazy. And look, you still had Ortiz. You still had Pedroia, John Lester, Jacoby Ellsbury, okay? There were the bones of a good team there. But make no mistake about it. The infamous trade on August 25th, 2012 should be now known as a famous trade. When they waved the white flag on the best era of Red Sox baseball that any of us had ever seen, they created another champion. And one of the greatest and most memorable teams in Boston sports history. It's almost like we grabbed another Red Sox generation by the scruff of the neck, by the scruff of the beard, if you will, because of that trade. Because for the first time in a generation, for people my age who had only seen success, were spoiled brats, okay? For the first time since we had been watching, the Red Sox were a punchline. It was only for about a year and a half, but they were a punchline. They were the model of dysfunction rather than being the model team in Major League Baseball. And we had not seen that from them. It had been a long time. Some of the old hats were like, yeah, I remember this. But for us, this was brand new. And you got to remember, it's at a time when the Bruins had just won the Cup. There's a whole renaissance of hockey in the city. And the Patriots are right in the middle of being the best team in pro sports for 20 straight years. Not that the Red Sox would ever be muscled out of town or muscled out of the zeitgeist or anything like that, but it was the Red Sox fans were punting it. They were like, you know what? I'll check back in a while. And they made that turnaround right away because of this deal. And as Red Sox fans, we should bask in it, truly. Because most Red Sox trades with the Dodgers don't go that way. All right? As we have learned in the years since 2012, it's not always smooth sailing to just get rid of a couple of guys, cash dump that you can't pay to the Dodgers and see what you get in return. Most of the time, it doesn't work out, right? Mookie will tell you that. And it is interesting that we talk about it in 2025, where you just traded your best player, arguably, a few months ago in a total salary dump, right? $180 million to the first team that would take it. You got nothing in return. You flipped the only real prospect in that deal for Dustin May, who stinks. But maybe if the Red Sox can actually put their balls out on the table this winter, this will be the Dodgers trade part 2. And you'll put together the pieces around this core, which should be a good core, right? Alex Bregman, Roman Anthony, Garrett Crochet, even Trevor Story. You put the pieces around that, maybe you got another 2013. Maybe you got another World Series flag a year from now. But what started out as one of the most mind-boggling, pathetic, white flag waving trades in Red Sox history arguably became one of their best. There is no 2013 without that trade on August 25th. 2012. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is this one of the great trades in Red Sox history? Let me know in the comment section. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's coming at you every weekday live at high noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. So check out the other videos on the channel talking Red Sox, Bruins, everything going on in the world of Boston sports, so you don't have to touch your radio dial. We don't want that. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air 5 days a week. Let's continue talking about the Red Sox. It could have been a sweep. It ends up being 3 out of 4 at Yankee Stadium. But more importantly, they exposed the Bronx Bombers for what they truly are. And we'll tell you what that is next on The Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Maud Lily is your go-to for stylish and affordable fashion that fits your life. Whether you're looking for the perfect swimsuit for a beach day, a chic dress for a night out, or cozy tops for everyday wear, Maud Lily has it all. Their extensive collection of swimwear, including bikinis, tankinis, and one-pieces, always keeps you on trend, while their dresses and tops come in flattering styles for every occasion. Visit maudlily.com today.
Natural Cycles identifies your fertile window by analyzing changes in your temperature. It's the first FDA-cleared birth control app. No hormones, no side effects, and 93% effective with typical use, and 98% effective with perfect use. Just measure in the morning, add your temperature into the app, then learn which days you can and cannot get pregnant. It's that easy. Learn more at naturalcycles.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Home's where the heart is. Home. There's no place like it. Homes are filled with memories and emotions. OfferPad knows this is your home, not your house. That's why we do what we do. Every day, we aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
And now, back to our show.
Back to it, the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I kept this on because look what happens when I drop my microphone. Look at this. That's what happens when you got the dog, man. That's crazy. Look at, you can still see it. It's just covered. Ugh. Hold on. That's what you get on the Cam Show when you tune in on a Monday. The light's not on to start. I got dog hair all over the microphone. I basically ripped my laptop down trying to walk. It's just brutal. Please, people, have some sympathy for me. All right, let me know in the comments. We've talked about the Red Sox, talked about the Bruins. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Red Sox, but actually through the view of their most hated rival, the New York Yankees. Okay, Red Sox take 3 out of 4. It's still a heck of a weekend. I really was kind of pissy that they didn't get the sweep. But it was the most lopsided of the pitching matchups, I would say. Dustin May going against Carlos Rodon. So Red Sox can't get it done. It's too bad. But they win 3 out of 4. They get back into second place in the American League East. And most importantly, what they do is they expose the Yankees. The Yankees won the final game of the series against the Red Sox to salvage it and win 1. But the Yankees were exposed this weekend. Does that look like a team that's going to come out of the American League? Even a weak American League? Because, I don't know, the Tigers are, I guess, still running away with the best record in the league, in the American League. But I don't think we're just sitting here shaking in our boots that the Tigers are going to run the table and win the World Series here. Maybe that's just me. And I don't know who that substitute is. I don't have a lot of confidence in Houston either. Seattle, not really taking the reins. Cleveland's fizzled out after a nice little hot streak. The Red Sox have plenty of holes, and I've said that all season long. But here's the thing. The Red Sox still have plenty of holes, and yet they exposed the Yankees this weekend. So what does that make the Yankees? Because there are a lot of issues with that team. Lou Merloni put it pretty succinctly on Nesson on, I want to say Friday. He said, look, you just keep this team in the ballpark and make them play defense, and you're going to beat them. Sometimes that first part's easier said than done, right? There's a reason why you got to keep them in the ballpark. They got really good home run hitters. Okay? They lead the league in homers. But this weekend, you saw exactly that, right? Like they hit 3 or 4 homers on Sunday nights, their only victory. But other than that, the Red Sox kept them in the ballpark and made them play defense. And this Yankee starting rotation, Max Fried looked a lot better on Friday than he had the last month or two. He was their ace to start the season with Cole out. Rodon pitched well last night. Pitched pretty well. That bullpen is garbage. It's awful. It's been trash for really the whole season, and it's hanging by a thread. And the part about them making them play defense, I cannot believe how horrible the Yankees are fundamentally. Like, mind you, this is coming off a series where the Red Sox were out-fundamentaled by the worst team in the division. Baltimore beat them 2 games in a row on fundamentals. And it was coming off the Red Sox' worst loss of the season, so agonizing. They left the bases loaded 3 straight innings. They didn't score on a sacrifice fly. Like it was just all these little fundamental things that the Red Sox couldn't execute. And you mean to tell me that 4 days later, I'm feeling great about them because they're playing the Yankees. But that's exactly what happens, man. I mean, Anthony Volpe. Is there a more overrated player in baseball than Anthony Volpe? And nobody's saying like this kid's an all-star stud. But the Yankees fans, they worship him. He's the next coming of Jeter, and he's the local guy, Jersey boy. He sucks, man. He can't play the position. He airmailed 3 this weekend. Like, he can't make the throw. And one of the ones he doesn't airmail is a play where Jarren Duran's on second base. It's a ground ball in the hole to Volpe. Duran's like 3 steps off the bag. He tries to throw to second. Duran's safe. Chisholm pumps twice and then tries to throw to first. They go 6-4-3, and they didn't get a single out. Forcing them to play fundamental baseball is how you beat the Yankees. Meanwhile, in that disastrous 9th inning on Saturday, where they gave up 7 runs to the Red Sox, Volpe throws one away. Remember that. And then Blackburn is picking a guy off of first base when his first baseman isn't even holding him on. And he has to balk just to get the throw to Ben Rice, and that scores another run. They can't get out of their own way. This Yankee team is an embarrassment. And when they don't have Aaron Judge in the lineup, they're putrid. And I know some people will say, well, Cam, if you take the best player out of the lineup, best player in the league out of the lineup, of course they're not going to be as good. I'm saying they're like potential division winner when Judge is in the lineup to not a playoff team when he's not in the lineup. Like, they got a lot of Jags. Giancarlo Stanton isn't healthy, can't play the outfield, which is a real detriment to them because Judge can't right now. And Giancarlo Stanton cannot play the outfield. It's embarrassing to watch if it wasn't so funny for us. Chaz Chisholm hit a homer yesterday. Jag. Trent Grisham hit a couple. Jag, having a decent year. Ryan McMahon, Jag. Anthony Volpe, Jag. Just another guy. Ben Rice, nice story. Truly is, even though he's a prick and I hate him because he's a pretty boy from Cohasset who just went to Noble, agreed now with Dartmouth, and now plays for the Yankees because he's a Yankee fan the whole time. He's a nice player. But when Judge isn't in the lineup, he's like their big home run threat. And that's not good for a team that's going to be making the postseason. I cannot see this Yankee team winning his playoff series. I really can't after what I saw this weekend. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know if I am. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you see this Yankee team winning a playoff series and getting back to the World Series potentially? Because the American League is is not much better than it was last year when it was really poor. So let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you live every weekday, high noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke behind the glass keeps us on the air 5 days a week. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next edition of a little ditty of a show that we like to call The Cam Show.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internext.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. We understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit TwoSains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.